Family is one of the fundamental aspects of not only life, but anime as well. We see family, or the lack of family, play a huge role in the lives of our main characters, and Jujutsu Kaisen is no different. Of all families included in JJK, none is more emphasized than the mess that is the Zenin clan. With the Zenins playing a huge role in both Shibuya and the upcoming anime arcs, it's time that we rank and explain them from weakest to strongest. So, to start off with, we'll mention the Kukuru unit. These are basically just a bunch of unnamed members of the clan that don't have any curse technique of their own. They're kind of just like bogeys. Now we know of two named members. One was the leader, who was known as Nobuaki, and also Maki was a member of this for a while. Next up we have Mai Zenin. As we all know, Mai is the weaker twin, but she has a curse technique of her own, unlike Maki. Her curse technique is called construction, and it allows her to use her cursed energy to create anything she wants. The only problem with this is that she has a very small amount of cursed energy of her own. She's only able to create one little bullet for her revolver in a day. This is pretty pitiful, to be honest, but we learn why she has this. We learn more about her character later. Since Maki and Mai were born as twins, the Jujutsu Society recognizes them as one individual. Well, not the society, but the world itself. It's really weird. When something happens later on, we learn that Maki was born with a heavenly restriction like Toji's, so that's why she powers up over her sister so much. Now, as we mentioned before, talking about the Kukuru unit, the Zenin clan divided itself into 2 or 3 different factions, really just 2 main ones, the Kukuru and the Hei. These are all stronger members with their own curse technique, and it's said that they are all supposed to be special grade 1 or above sorcerers. Until we get to the upper few, we really don't know enough about these guys to really rank them, so I'm just going to explain them and lump them all in together here at the bottom. First up, we have Ranta Zenin, who is a very young guy, and he's got a pretty serious allegiance to the Hei. His only known ability is a paralyzing gaze technique. Basically, he manifests a visual set of huge eyes that paralyze his target. It has some serious side effects on him, making him like bleed from his eyes and stuff. Next, we have Chojuro Zenin, who's basically just an old guy in the Hei. I mean, he's got an earth style technique, basically, if you're talking about Naruto terms. He can create huge stone arms that rise up to like clasp his opponent in place. There's no telling what else he could do, but we never see any more of this. Junichi Zenin is the coolest and strongest looking one of all these people. He seems to kind of be the ringleader of this little group of the Hei. His curse technique is this crazy fighting style of like flying fists. His fists are propelled by cursed energy, so they really pack a punch. Like these other two though, we don't know enough about him to properly rank him. Alright, now we can finally rank someone. Ogi Zenin, who is Maki and Mai's father, is next up. Oh, and I can't dance around spoilers anymore, so heads up, next season is about to be spoiled. This evil dude prepares to execute his own 2 daughters and Megumi. Now there's a whole bunch of political stuff behind this, but he was literally excited to kill his own daughters, who he claims were failures in his life. He hates his daughters because they're the reason that his older brother Naobito became the leader of the Zenin clan instead of him. See, Naobito was strong and he had the strong son that was Naoya, but Ogi only had Maki and Mai. Ogi fatally wounds the weaker Mai, and then he and Maki go at it. His curse technique is called Blazing Courage, and it basically lets him coat his body in flames and his sword. The coolest part about it is that when he breaks his sword off in his fight against Maki, he can use these flames to create like a blade of fire. It's really cool. He can also use Falling Blossom Emotion, which we know is an anti-domain technique that Naobito used against Dagon. However, this can also be used for swordsmanship. The user coats himself and his sword in cursed energy, and as anything touches it, the sword strikes at it. Using these techniques, he actually strikes Maki down, but it doesn't last for long. He calls his daughters a stain on his life, and Mai passes away. This spurs on Maki's growth, and once she has her heavenly restriction fully realized, Ogi's done for. Next up, I'm picking Naobito Zenin. While I'm back and forth over Naobito and Naoya, I'm giving Naoya the edge over his father. Naobito used projection sorcery, which is a cursed technique known to the Zenin clan. The basic summary of projection sorcery is that it divides each second into 24 frames of movement, and the user and anyone he touches has to completely follow those 24 frames of animation perfectly. If Naobito himself or a target that he touches messes up any of these 24 frames, they're frozen in that frame for a whole second. Naobito can also use this constantly, so he's constantly building up speed, and it's really like super speed. Besides this, Naobito can also use the anti-domain technique, Falling Blossom Emotion. He basically coats himself in cursed energy, and as the guaranteed hit of someone else's domain expansion hits him, his cursed energy reacts equal and oppositely to nullify this attack. That's hard to explain. In Shibuya, Naobito, Maki, and Nanami take on the Awakening Dagon. Naobito's actually doing pretty good in this fight until Dagon sucks them all into his domain expansion. Naobito loses an arm, but he hangs in there until Toji shows up. Toji quickly finishes the fight against Dagon, but as soon as Dagon's domain expels, Naobito and the rest of them are forced to face Jogo, who is stronger than Dagon, who they just fought. Jogo quickly burns Maki and Nanami to a crisp, but Naobito's able to evade with his 24 FPS technique for a little bit. The loss of his right arm slowed him down though, so Jogo caught up to him and burned him too. Naobito passed away soon after this, but not before his will was read to the next person person on our list. Naoya Zenin, the son of Naobito, lies just outside the top 3 of our Zenin clan list. He was the leader of the Hei and a very strong dude in general. I argue that he did surpass his father in strength by the time he passed away. This dude fought toe to toe with Choso, and Choso was like very powerful. He was a special grade death painting. Naoya also comes back later as a cursed womb, so we'll get to that later. That just makes him even stronger. Like his father, Naoya uses projection sorcery. The first fight we see Naoya in is against Choso. Like the stuff with Ogi, this was a political fight. Naoya wishes to kill Yuji and lure in Megumi using Yuji as bait so that he can kill him. Megumi became the head of the Zenin clan upon Naobito's death, so Naoya really wants that title for himself. Choso just so happens to be right there with Yuji, so he rushes to his defense. They're actually pretty evenly matched, but Naoya gets cocky. Naoya is constantly outspeeding Choso, but he doesn't realize that Choso has quite the amount of blood that he has, since he is a death painting and can create his own blood and all that stuff. Choso surprises Naoya with his supernova technique, and he pretty much would have died right then and there if Yuta didn't show up and heal him. Now you're probably thinking,
well, gee, didn't you rank him higher than Naobito, and all he did was take an L?
And to that, you do have a point. He did lose, but he was 1v1ing a special grade death painting. Naobito himself only lost as well, and he was in a 3-on-1. Now, I'm not saying Dagon is weaker than Choso by any means, but I will say that 3-on-1s are typically easier than 1-on-1s. Anyway, the next time we see Naoya is when he fights against Awakened Maki. He outspeeds her at first, denying her awakening, as she's just not Toji and he cannot accept her awakening. Naoya puts Gojo and Toji up on some crazy pedestal, and he somehow believes that he belongs up there with them too. I don't know, it's weird. Well, he doesn't. The Awakened Maki traces all 24 frames of his animation and knocks him out of that animation. She beats him within an inch of his life and leaves him there to die, but her mom finishes the job with a knife. Now, because Naoya wasn't killed using cursed energy, he came back as a vengeful cursed spirit. He morphed into a cursed womb, and it's all that Noritoshi Kamo and Maki can do to stay alive at first. This form is much faster than his human form was, and it uses a projection sorcery domain expansion. Now, this domain is super strong, but it doesn't affect Maki at all due to her complete lack of cursed energy. She slips through the domain and stabs Naoya, ending his life once and for all. Despite his wishes, he could never reach that pedestal of power that Gojo and Toji rested on. Coming in third place, we have Megumi Fushiguro. Now, this placement may seem a little high to you, but I firmly believe that he could defeat anyone on this list below him. Megumi uses the 10 Shadows technique, which allows him to summon 10 different types of Shikigami. These Shikigami are as follows: Divine Dogs, Nu, the bird-like Shikigami, Toad, Great Serpent, Max Elephant, Rabbit Escape, Round Deer, Piercing Ox, Tiger Funeral, and the goat himself, Maharaga. Without going into too much detail on all of them, these things are strong. Round Deer is made of positive energy, so he can heal others using reverse cursed energy. As we all know from the fight against Sukuna, Maharaga is like uber powerful. Although Megumi hasn't defeated Maharaga, which means that he can't actually command him in battle, he can summon the ritual that allows him to fight the thing and suck his opponents in there with him. He uses this as a last-ditch effort to bring his opponents down with him. Aside from the 10 shadows, he uses the Chimera Shadow Garden domain expansion, which allows him to control all the shadows around him and summon his Shikigami out of these shadows. Now, he honestly starts out pretty weak, but we see him grow significantly until, you know, what happens with Sukuna. Megumi fights a ton of people and spirits in the series, but I think his most impressive fight to me was whenever he defeated Reggie Star. While I know Reggie Star isn't like a special grade or anything, he was powerful enough that Kenjaku reincarnated him, so he was pretty tough. While Megumi is probably weaker than Naoya in his cursed womb form, the thing that puts him over the top to me is his ace in the hole Maharaga. While Megumi would likely die too, anyone other than Sukuna or Gojo would go down with him. So let me know if you agree with where I ranked Megumi, and if not, let me know where you would have ranked him down below in the comments. Now's what we've all been waiting for: Toji versus Maki for the #1 spot. When looking at the sheer feats of the two, one of them is the clear winner, and that's Toji. I mean, this dude beat Gojo, for crying out loud. Let's first talk about why they are the way they are. Toji was born with a heavenly restriction that completely cut him off from cursed energy. Because balance is so important in this universe, he was granted insane physical prowess, which is why he is the way he is. Maki was also born with this heavenly restriction, but since her and Mai were seen as one individual to the Jujutsu world, and Mai had a little bit of cursed energy, Maki's heavenly restriction did not take place until Mai's death. Even after she gained this, it took her a little while to fully grow into these powers. She was walking all over all of her enemies until Naoya showed up in his cursed womb form. She was struggling to keep up with his speed until a random sorcerer named Mio showed up and made her sumo wrestle him in his domain. It's really weird to say that. He forced her to focus and clear her mind so that she could defeat Naoya. It worked, and she killed Naoya for good. During this, she levels up to what the manga calls a demonic fighter equal to Toji Zenin fully realized. This is the key quote of this entire segment. The two are now equal. Maki defeated special grade cursed Naoya and just jumped jumped in the fight in the manga against Sukuna. Toji beat everyone he ever came in contact with except for fully awakened Gojo. I believe that these two fighters are completely equal on all grounds, and we would never really know what would happen if they crossed paths. For that reason, tied for number 1 strongest in the Zenin clan are Toji Fushiguro and Maki Zenin. You need to learn a lot more about Toji Zenin though, so you need to check out this video linked on screen right here covering everything about him that I know anyway. Till next time, peace.